Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and this is part two of the resignation of President Claudine Gay. I'm going to play two videos here. One's from CNN, which is a shorter video, and a longer one from, I believe it's The Hill.
This is CNN Breaking News.
We have breaking news just into CNN. Harvard President Claudine Gay is set to resign today. That is according to the Harvard Crimson.
Let's go straight to CNN's Matt Egan. Matt, what can you tell us about this?
Well, the Harvard Crimson is reporting that Claudine Gay is set to resign today, marking the shortest tenure of a presidency in the university's nearly 400-year history. We have not independently confirmed that. We've reached out to Harvard. We've yet to hear back, but we know that Claudine Gay is under enormous pressure here. There's been so many things that have gone wrong in just the last few months. The initial response to the October 7th attack was criticized, even by Harvard officials. We also know that the testimony before Congress last month was widely criticized as well. That was viewed as a disaster. Now, Gay did apologize, but the criticism continued. Lawmakers have looked into this issue. And at the same time, we also have these plagiarism allegations that have swirled around Claudine Gay. Now, you add it all up, and that has proven to be, apparently, according to the Harvard Crimson, too much for Claudine Gay's presidency to survive. And according to the paper, she does plan to step down today.
Matt, it does stand out that this announcement is coming just 3 weeks after the Harvard Corporation, which is the university's highest governing body, announced that they would unanimously support her after they had extensive deliberations following her testimony before Congress. It drew a lot of criticism, but is it fair to say that combining that with the plagiarism allegations, it was simply too much for her to overcome? It seems like they were in a different position 3 weeks ago.
Reporters, you're right. It was just 3 weeks ago that the Harvard Corporation, the university's top governing board, announced its unanimous support for Claudine Gay. This news makes you wonder just how unanimous that support really was, and how much depth there was to that support. As you mentioned, this is really a combination of multiple factors, right? It was the fact that the university's response to October 7th was criticized as not condemning Hamas forcefully enough. The Harvard Corporation actually criticized Claudine Gay's initial response. And then you throw on top of that the testimony, right? It was more than 4 hours of testimony before lawmakers, but it really just came down to a precious few minutes where Claudine Gay and the leaders of the University of Pennsylvania and MIT, they struggled to answer a question that a lot of people thought would be a simple one to answer. Is calling for the genocide of Jews against the school's code of conduct, and they all fumbled that response. And then you layer on top of that these plagiarism allegations, where Claudine Gay has had to issue corrections, multiple corrections. Now, we should note that Claudine Gay has not been accused of stealing anyone's ideas in any of her writings. She's been accused of sort of more like copying other people's writings without attribution. So it's been more sloppy attribution than stealing anyone's ideas. But nonetheless, you put all of that together and you throw on top the political pressure and also the pressure from donors. In just the last few days, we've heard from another powerful donor threatening to actually promising to hold off donations to the school. So when you add all that up, it seems as though it's been more than Claudine Gay's presidency could survive. And you know, this is a tough moment for one of the most prestigious universities in America. Its brand has clearly taken a very big hit in just the past few months.
Yeah, there had been a reduction in early application, right? We had seen that, and that had raised some questions about whether this was affecting the brand and how people who are want to go to what is the best college in America, whether they were seeing it differently. There was also,
I've gone to a lot of different universities, and Harvard was an interesting experience. But I'll tell you, there are other universities at the state school level that are just as good, research institutions. And this idea that Harvard has a monopoly on good research or good scholars, excellent scholars. No, they don't have a monopoly. What it is that the Ivy League is old. And because it's old, it has inroads into society. But as the state schools become older, because state schools were basically, they came online, they came into fruition around in the 1860s. So in these Ivy Leagues, it was, for Harvard, it was 1636, and Yale, I think, is 1701, something like that, 1702. So you're talking about, the 1600s and the 1700s. So they have a leg up in terms of getting into the echelons in society. But as these state schools become older, especially in the next 50 years, and they become 200 years old, that's probably a threshold point for their endowments and for their notoriety in research. So a research institution that's at the state school level, I think, is just as good. And getting a degree from those institutions will garner success if you apply yourself. But I've seen both. I've seen, because I've gone through many different schools, private schools and also state schools, and to say that Harvard has a monopoly on good research, I just think you're just not being honest, because there's so many different really good state schools out there. But there's a uniqueness about Harvard, and I think it's the history. There's a history. If you can tap into the history of Harvard and just let yourself just listen to the echo of history, it is a special place. That's for sure. There's a specialness to it, but it's not because of its scholarship. It's because of its history.
The political overtones here, Matt, which is that Congress, the House of Representatives, Republican oversight, had decided to join in investigating this, which was rather unusual, and added sort of another tension to this discussion over her tenure.
Yeah, absolutely, Brown. It is worth noting that this has all become so politicized, like a lot of things in society. This has been caught up by politics and even the plagiarism allegations. I mean, some of those initial allegations around plagiarism, those really came from activists, not activists who were fired up about academic citation. It was really right-wing activists who feel that a lot of these Ivy League presidents are too liberal. And so that's where some of this initial concern about her academic writing came from. And to your point about the brand, the Harvard brand, we did see that early applications to Harvard, they fell by 17% year over year. Now, a lot of the other schools, including even the University of Pennsylvania, they didn't see that kind of a drop. Now, we should note that the cutoff date for early application at Harvard, that was November 1st. So that would predate the hearing that has gotten so much attention. It would also predate the plagiarism issues. But still, it does sort of raise this concern about what all of this attention, all this controversy has done to the Harvard brand. And at some point, you got to imagine that
I think the reason why it was down so much, I think the number was 17% for the Harvard College, is because there's about 1,900 seats for the college. And the early applications, you're going to have some people that said, you know what, I don't want my kid going there because of the anti-Semitism or this whole liberalism that has been floating around there. You have some of that, but I think the majority of it is because of what the Supreme Court ruling was earlier this year. I think it was this year, dealing with the affirmative action and the way Harvard does its admissions process. So think about it this way: you have 1,900 seats for the college, Harvard College. And just to put it into perspective, student body at any given moment is around annually is 31,000 students. So that includes the college, that includes all the professional schools, the graduate schools, the Ph.D s, right? So it's around the student body at any given moment is around 31,000. The college is about 1,900, maybe a little bit more than that. Maybe it's 1,930, somewhere in there. So they usually have an acceptance rate that is, I don't know, around 4%. It could be a little bit less, a little bit more. Now, the acceptance rate went up to about 8%, I think it was. But you got to think about it in the terms of how many people are applying. In prior years, there were about 65,000 students that were applying to the college, and there were only 1,900 seats, roughly. All right, give or take, a couple thousand or whatever, in terms of the amount that were applying. So and yes, this is early admission, so that it's not the whole body. But the point I'm making here is that you're only talking about 8,000 students, but less applicants applying. If you use the base as 65,000 applicants to Harvard. So the chances of that 8,400 or so that didn't apply, maybe would have been 2 or 3, maybe 5 total that would have been accepted or looked at for the 1,900 seats. So the applicants going down by 17% is not that big of a deal if you look at it in those terms. So let's do just a math experiment. Let's do a math experiment. Okay, so there's about 65,000 students, right? And there's only 1,900 and let's say 30 seats. So 1,930 seats out of 65,000 applicants. So the acceptance rate is about 3%. Okay, so maybe it's not 65,000, maybe it's around 60,000, but you get the point here. Okay, so 65,000, all right, reduced by 17%, we're talking about 11,000 students that are not applying, all right? Well, how many of those would have potentially gotten in, all right? And most likely there were probably lower tiered candidates. So probably only just a few, but let's just say it's equally proportional to the remainder. All right. So the 11,050 of these students that didn't apply, if we assume a 3% acceptance rate, we have 331 that would have been looked at. All right, potentially looked at. But within that population, only a few would have been accepted because you still have 54,000 students. See my point? 54,000 students that are probably higher tiered in terms of performance or their application that would have been accepted. So we're not talking about that many students that really it affects. It's not really that many. Is my point here. But let's continue on. But so I think a lot of it is because of the Supreme Court's decision, and it's just people that were doing the Hail Mary pass before the court decision years ago, because of the affirmative action and the way they were doing the modeling. Those lower tier candidates probably didn't apply, but you might have a little bit out of that 65,000 applicant pool that decided, you know what, I was going to apply. They may have been thinking, oh, I'll apply, but because of everything that's going on in the news, I won't apply. there may be a couple thousand that fall in that category, but not 11,000, right? So it's more, I think, on viability. I think there were way too many Hail Mary passes that were going on in prior years before the Supreme Court decision. So there is an element of the current events that's causing people not to apply. But there's also another dynamic that the admissions process has changed. So it's probably two reasons on why this is happening.
The officials that run the school, the Harvard Corporation, the members of that powerful board, they had to decide whether or not they wanted to stand by Claudine Gay. And again, according to the Harvard Crimson, they decided that they don't want to.
It did not predate that controversy, certainly over student groups facing backlash for signing on to a statement that was anti-Israel. So you see, and I'm very glad you pointed out the timeline on that map, because it is incredibly important to see what may and may not have affected this. But so many things going on as Harvard has become politicized here.
Yeah, Matt Egan, we're going to stay on top of this story. We look forward to what Claudine Gay herself has.
And this is a testament of the thinking. For the ones that watch my channel, not one of them stated about the Supreme Court decision and how it may be affecting the admission process, how many people are applying, and the boosting up of the admission rate at Harvard because the applicant pool is dropping. All right, the admission rate has gone up. All right, and the application pool has gone down. So there's a couple dynamics that are going on. I think SCOTUS had a big part of the play here. Okay, now we're going to go into playing the Hill.
For the Daily Debrief, your one-stop shop for the news you need to know now. Let's get right to it. Big news. Claudine Gay is out at Harvard University. The now former Harvard University president has been plagued with plagiarism allegations, as well as bipartisan criticism for her handling of the testimony before Congress last month about anti-Semitism on Harvard's campus. Joining me now with the latest is the Hill's Brett Samuels. This isn't too much of a shocker, Brett.
Not at all, Kevin. Not if you've been sort of following the events, especially since that hearing that you mentioned on anti-Semitism, where Claudine Gay, the president of the University of Pennsylvania, and these Ivy League leaders were on the Hill and were basically grilled over their handling of anti-Semitism on campus. They all sort of drew the ire, especially of conservatives, but also of some Democrats when they sort of refused to unequivocally condemn calls for genocide on campus of Jews. And that has led to really this sort of rallying cry among conservatives in particular, calling for Claudine Gay's ouster and the ouster of these other presidents. And here we are a few weeks later, she's out at Harvard.
The White House also joined the criticism of her testimony on that hearing of anti-Semitism. Elise Stefanik, the New York Republican, already tweeting out 2 down, 1 to go as a result of Claudine Gay's resignation. Liz McGill, the now former president from the University of Pennsylvania, of course, was the first university president to be ousted. Now, the one remaining individual who testified at that hearing, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT president Sally Kornbluth, is still in a job. It's interesting to note the journey, so to speak, that Claudine Gay at Harvard took. I mean, this is the shortest tenure for a university president of Harvard ever. She only lasted like 6.5 months. You had prominent donors saying that they were going to be withdrawing donations. You had Bill Ackman, the hedge fund guy, coming out and raising serious concerns about plagiarism after the Harvard Corporation defended her following her remarks before the testimony that she gave on anti-Semitism. And again, the pushback was just so intense coming from Democrats, like even Senator Kirsten Gillibrand had called on her to resign. This was not just Republicans, but for the Harvard Corporation to stand by her, Brett, at a time when you have Congresswoman Stefanik saying that she's launching an investigation into these universities, and oh yeah, they're going to use subpoena power. If you're the Harvard Corporation, which positions itself as the oldest corporation, not just in the United States, but of the Western Hemisphere, they're going to be digging through their financial records, are they not? And not just their financial records here in the United States, but internationally, specifically with China.
Yeah, Kevin, it just goes to show, I think, how much of a cause essentially this became on the right, especially in the aftermath of that anti-Semitism hearing. You mentioned Elise Stefanik. This was sort of a star turn for her, as she was the lawmaker who was questioning these university presidents that spurred these resignations, that you mentioned at Harvard and at Penn as well. And now you have Bill Ackman, as you mentioned, is sort of on social media almost daily, it seems, trying to draw attention to these things. So it just underscores, I think, the degree to which, you already had conservatives who I think were looking to investigate or probe sort of the dealings of some of these Ivy League universities with what they perceived as sort of left-leaning biases. But now in the wake of that anti-Semitism hearing, that really just ratcheted up. And now you have 2 university presidents resign, call for a third one still to be ousted. And as you said, I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to see investigations or calls for investigations into these schools' dealings.
Well, based on your reporting, specifically with regards to this, how did it go from partisanship to nonpartisanship? Because this crossed a threshold when you have Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat from New York, going on Fox News and saying that these 3 university presidents have to go, when you have Congressman Richie Torres, Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania, a progressive by all accounts, calling on these university leaders to get out of, to resign for their remarks. And when you have the White House, Karine Jean-Pierre, criticizing Claudine Gay, criticizing Sally Kornbluth, criticizing now former UPenn president Liz McGill, this was a nonpartisan area, was it not?
Yeah, you certainly had a few holdouts on the left in particular, but that, I think, this is emblematic of sort of the broader breakdown of where folks have fallen on the issue of Israel and its war with Hamas ever since the attacks in October that left about 1,200 Israelis dead. We've seen these sort of similar, where people have fallen essentially on this issue in the aftermath of those attacks in terms of what Israel should be allowed to do, whether there should be more support for Gaza and Palestinians. It's very similar, I think, when we look at folks like John Fetterman, you mentioned, who are perceived to be more progressive, still aligning themselves with Israel, saying we should support Israel. The White House, as you mentioned, Karine Jean-Pierre said at a briefing I was at, essentially pushing back on Rashida Tlaib, a progressive congresswoman, and sort of some of her comments. So this issue with the Ivy League presidents, I think, is just emblematic of sort of the fault lines we've seen develop in the Israel-Hamas conflict more broadly in the last couple of months.
And kudos, by the way, to the Harvard Crimson and those student journalists who were really out ahead. I mean, they beat us, Brett. They beat the national media. They beat us old guys at this. But
the reason why they beat them was because they get an email. All right. Yeah, I got the email too. One email came at 1:30 from Claudine Gay to the alumni and student body and the whole Harvard community. And then at 1:48, I received an email from the corporation. Right? So let's read what the corporation had to say. The Harvard Corporation sent me an email at 1:48, which is about 18 minutes after. Interesting, 18 minutes. 18 minutes after Claudine Gay's email to the Harvard community. All right. So let me read what they said. All right. This is how the Harvard Crimson beat everybody, because we got the email. Dear members of the Harvard community, with great sadness, we write in light of President Claudine Gay's message announcing her intention to step down from the presidency and resume her faculty position at Harvard. First and foremost, now you got to remember, I'm sure a lot of lawyers looked at what they were writing, so it was pretty boilerplate. First and foremost, we thank President Gay for her deep and unwavering commitment to Harvard and to the pursuit of academic excellence throughout her long and distinguished leadership as Dean of the School, the Dean of Social Science, then as Dean of Faculty of Arts and Sciences, where she skillfully led FAS, right, Faculty of Arts and Sciences, through the COVID-19 pandemic and pursued ambitious new academic initiatives in areas such as quantum science and inequality. She demonstrated the insight and decisiveness and empathy that are her hallmark. She believes passionately in Harvard's mission of education and research, and she cares profoundly about the people whose talents, ideas, and energy drive Harvard. She has devoted her career to an institution whose ideals and priorities she has worked tirelessly to advance. And we are grateful for the extraordinary contribution she has made and will continue to make as a leader, a teacher, a scholar, a mentor, and an inspiration to many. We also, and then they switch to who the provost is. We are also grateful to Alan M. Garber, provost and chief academic officer, who has served with distinction in that role for the past 12 years, and who has agreed to serve as interim president until a new leader for Harvard is identified and takes office. An economist and a physician, he is a distinguished and wide-ranging scholar with appointments at Harvard Medical School, Harvard Faculty of Arts and Sciences, the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, and the Harvard Chan School of Public Health. We are fortunate to have someone of Alan's broad and deep experience, incisive judgment, collaborative style, and the extraordinary institutional knowledge to carry forward key priorities and to guide the university through the interim period. These past several months have seen Harvard, these past several months have seen Harvard and higher education face series of sustained and unprecedented challenges. In the face of the escalating controversy and conflict, President Gay and the fellows have sought to be guided by the best interest of the institution, whose future progress and well-being we are together committed to uphold. Her own message conveying her intention to step down eloquently underscores what those who have worked with her have long known. Her commitment to the institution and its mission is deep and selfless. It is with that overreaching consideration in mind that we have accepted her resignation. We do so with sorrow, while President Gay has acknowledged missteps and has taken responsibility for them. It is also true that she has shown remarkable resilience in the face of deeply personal and sustained attacks. While some of these has played out in the public domain, much of it has taken the form of repugnant and, in some cases, racist vitriol directed at her through disgraceful emails and phone calls. We condemn such attacks in the strongest possible terms. The search for a new president of the university will begin in due course. We will be in further touch about the process, which will include broad engagement and consultation with the Harvard community in the time ahead. Today, we close by reiterating our gratitude to President Gay for her devoted service to Harvard, as well as the Provost Garber for his willingness to lead the university through the interim period to come. We also extend our thanks to all of you for your continuing commitment to Harvard's vital educational and research mission, and to the core values of excellence, inclusiveness, and free inquiry and expression. At a time when strife and division are so prevalent in our nation and our world, embracing and advancing that mission in a spirit of common purpose has never been more important. We live in difficult and troubling times, and formidable challenges lay ahead. May our community, with its long history of rising through change and through storm, find new ways to meet those challenges together and to affirm Harvard's commitment to generating knowledge, pursuing truth, and contributing through scholarship and education to a better world. The fellows of Harvard College, and then all their names that are listed here. And this email came from the Harvard Corporation, all right? And I received it at 1:48 p.m. And then I received Claudine Gay's resignation letter to the community at 1:30 p.m. Now, of course, lawyers, massage that statement. And near the end, they were saying, "Oh, there's a little bit of racial tinge to it." Just imagine what it was like for those Jewish students being in the library studying during finals, seeing a huge crowd inside the library in the main area of study, with all the Arafat garb and the banners, free Palestine and all this. Do you think that the Jews that were there studying felt safe? And then she's whining about people calling her up. Here's the problem, and I keep on reiterating this, and I don't think that the community out there is paying attention. All right. These liberal policies are destroying America and destroying the institutions that we hold dear. And until that course is reset, until we come to terms to that and start truly having equal time to conservative principles and to liberal principles in these universities, we're going to continue to have division in our country, in the United States. And this is going to boil up into the world at large. This is beyond just Claudine Gay. It is beyond just the issue at hand with the Israeli-Hamas war. It's about the fabric being reweaved not in liberty and the pursuit of happiness based on constitutional freedoms, but it's being reweaved in socialism and communism, and erosion of those constitutional freedoms and civil liberties, and the whitewashing of history, and the demonizing of certain races, and trying to promote the oppressed so they get reparations. They get reparations. That's the agenda that's being weaved into this new fabric. This is a dangerous policy that will destroy our nation. And this type of rhetoric is coming right out of Harvard. This kind of rhetoric is coming out of Yale. This kind of rhetoric is coming out of institutions of higher learning. And until the boards and the Harvard Corporation come to terms to that, we are going to fail as a nation. So blaming race for the downfall of, the blaming it as some sort of racial hate towards President Gay, former President Gay. It's not that. It's a hatred towards DEI. It's a hatred towards the destruction of our Constitution. It is a hatred towards the erosion of our constitutional freedoms, the erosion of God, country, and family. That is what is at stake here. And personally, I do not think that the Board of Overseers nor the Harvard Corporation has looked in the mirror long enough to realize there is some serious structural issues within those boards, and they need to rectify it. Either the individuals step down and new ones come in, which is probably the proper course, or the ones that are on these boards need to self-correct and have equal time for conservatives and for liberals, and have equal representation in the faculty. I was attacked by the Harvard Crimson in 2020 when I was covering COVID. I have it all documented. And they tried to do a hit piece on me that was never published, trying to pin me as some sort of conspiracy theorist about what was going on with the development of the crisis, the development of the I'm trying to be generic with my terms for the video to stay up on YouTube. But everyone knows what I did. Everyone knows that how I covered the crisis. All right. And there were many institutions involved in the development, the arc of development of the SARS platform. And at that time, they had a professor, I'm not going to say who, but everyone knows, that was caught with his hands in the cookie jar. All right. And, they were trying to hide. The university was trying to hide, and that professor was trying to hide. Lieber. And there were individuals, professors at the university that were trying to discredit me. I ended up being right. And they were trying to create a hit piece where it would be 1/3 represented in the article about what I was saying, and 2/3 being discredited by a professor or professors of Harvard that said it was zoonotic. Now, you got to remember, this is all happening in February of 2020. All right, way before anyone knew all the details that we know now about what was going on in these BSL-4 labs, in the P4 labs. BSL is how we say it on the English side, and the P4 labs are how they say it in the Asiatic side. All right, so these BSL-4 labs, it came to show that there was more than a 20-year arc of development. And I proved it, all right? But they were trying to discredit me. And I made a statement that's been documented. It's all on audio, where I said, that equal representation of what I'm saying and what someone is saying to try to discredit me is doing proper journalism. But trying to create a hit piece and misrepresenting what I'm saying, or not giving me enough space in their article that's of equal space presenting my case. Doing a 1/3, 2/3 split is not fair. That it should be 50-50. They never published the article. All right. The reality of the situation was I was dead right. 100%. All right. So, and I've been right about the whole crisis and the after effects of the crisis and the pathology of the crisis, the post-crisis pathology. Nobody is more accurate than I am on this. Nobody. Not McCall, not Malone, nobody. So, and it just so happened when this was all happening, Claudine Gay was the dean of the division that runs the school that I was at Harvard. She, under her deanship for FAS, they run HES, all right, and the college. They run the college and HES, because HES is part of the Faculty of Arts and Sciences. She was the dean that was actually going after me. She tried to hide, not just DEI, but she was trying to kick out a student that was trying to blow a whistle on the biggest event in the last 125 or 150 years that happened in 2020. So she deserves what she got. And the reality is those professors that were trying to discredit me, that, the Harvard Crimson never wrote the article because they knew that I was right. And they were trying to run a hit piece, trying to protect the university. And I warned the guy that was doing the interview from the Harvard Crimson. I said that, you're young and you don't know much. I said, I'm paraphrasing right now, but you're young and you're not experienced enough to realize that this thing is going to rock the university and shut it all down. He didn't believe me. And then all of a sudden, about 2-3 weeks later, they shut the university down. And then he started to wake up because his professors were saying, it's zoonotic, don't worry about it. So Claudine Gay deserves to go. She deserves to go. And she deals with students and she deals with faculty, especially faculty, heavy-handedly if it goes against her grain. That's what she really represents. And so for the people that actually have supported me through the last more than 4 years going through this crisis, I greatly appreciate it. I thank you for being the followers that you are. But that's what happened behind the scenes. I published it, the video, the audio recording, and it's on multiple channels. I mean, it's been, people know that, the Crimson tried to go after me. All right. As I was finishing, I was just finishing my coursework and working on my pre-proposal. You had to do like a pre-proposal and then a proposal and then the master's thesis. And I did it a roundabout way. I kind of did everything backwards because I was also doing my pre-med at the time, but at Fordham. But the thing is, they went after me. They had professors that tried to discredit me because they were on the take. They were on the take. And they tried to deep six a student. They tried to blow the whistle and be the Paul Revere for the country to save it. Because I said that if we don't save the country, what's going to be ushered in is what is called the Biopatriot Act. I coined that phrase. And it happened. It happened. And now people are all whining. But you'll watch Malone and you'll watch fucking McCall. How accurate were they? Tell me one thing that McCall has said that is a unique thought. Not one. He's a certified cardiologist, and there's not one unique thought that he has presented. He's regurgitated a lot from people. He's even regurgitated my work. There's not one unique thought. Now with Malone, he was part of a weapons program, which is even worse. but you'll listen to Malone and McCall. Meanwhile, the guy that blew the whistle on all this bullshit, you're not supporting. It's way bigger than just President Claudine Gay. Now it's okay. It's okay. You know why? Because my grandfather was a CB during World War II in the Pacific Theater. All right? It's okay.
Massive scoop for them. Excellent reporting from those student journalists, and they were all over this and really capturing. You cannot be a university president of Harvard, nonetheless. I didn't go to Harvard, by the way. You cannot be a university president and plagiarize. You just can't do it, Brett. Don't go anywhere. Stay right there, because obviously now I want to talk about everything going on this month of politics. And speaking of that, let's go now to the Decision Desk 2024, where we are carefully tracking the latest polling and analysis from the campaign trail. And the trail, as they say, it could run directly through the Supreme Court of the United States as early as this month. Hear me out. Donald Trump, you know, the former president of the United States and the current frontrunner for the Republican.
Because this is PNN, I have to go to commercial. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Link is in the description of this video, and get the Health Max 35 liquid, structural nano silver liquid. Take a teaspoon of it a day, swallow it, gargle with it. It'll neutralize pathogens. I take a teaspoon of it a day. If you're not feeling well, take a tablespoon or 2 a day, right? It's part of the anti-aging protocol. I have collagen. It'll help with your joints, your cartilage, your tendons, your ligaments, and also your skin. Take it every day. If you want to improve your skin, what you want to do is take vitamin C, take collagen every day, drink 64 ounces of filtered water throughout the day, and apply the structural nano silver gel that I offer on the store at night, and then exfoliate that in the morning, and do that every day, and you'll start to see an improvement on your skin. To improve your immune system, I have many different products on my store. One product that is very good is to take lignans. It is a powder. It helps to boost the immune system, and it helps to improve your hormonal health for males and females. If you pay attention to me in the post era that we're in of the crisis, you're going to see higher incidences of autoimmune disease, AIDS-like syndrome, and cancers. You want to have a healthy immune system. Healthy means not too underreactive, not too overreactive. Overreactive leads to autoimmune diseases. Underreactive leads to opportunistic infections and certain types of cancers. And then you may not even have an autoimmune disease or AIDS-like syndrome disease, but still have turbo cancer. I go into detail why these three things happen on many different videos. Take my advice. Take my advice. I am not wrong on this. Make sure that you boost your immune system by going to the store and following my protocol. Take magnesium and zinc. It'll also help to boost up your immune system every day. And if you're not feeling well, take a double dose. I have different types of lozenges and drops. I have the lozenges in a 20 count. This is sweet menthol, and I also have it in green apple. And for the drops, I have blueberry and honey and lemon in a 100 count. Get them. They'll help to soothe your throat and help to neutralize pathogens. I have partnered up with Rainbow Herbals, and we have created these deodorant bars. They are made from high quality essential oils from the Himalayas. They are in citrus and also in peppermint tea tree lavender scent. Apply this every day. It's for males and females. And what it'll do is not only act as a deodorant, but it will act as a means to detoxify your body because of the types of essential oils that we have. It is a dual product. It will help to improve your health. So go and get a couple bars of this. It is an extremely high quality item on the store. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Link is in the description. We also have developed a bar that is called the Even Better Bar. It is a bar that's made also from essential oils from the Himalayas, and it's formulated in a way where it will reduce muscle pain, reduce bug bite pain like itching and irritation from a bug bite. It will help with eczema. It will help heal scrapes, minor burns, cuts. And if you apply it on your skin every day as a skincare product, skin healthcare product, you'll also notice that it'll moisturize your skin and it'll help to smooth your skin. So if your skin is kind of rough or chapped, just applying that Even Better Bar on it every day and it will heal it. All right. So you can apply it even on good skin just to maintain healthy skin. Use that Even Better Bar and put it on your skin every day. Maybe, before you go to bed or, before you go to work or whatever. And what you'll notice is your skin will be more rejuvenated. So I have a lot of great products on my store. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get those products. Follow the protocol. It's about neutralizing pathogens, improving your skin. It's about taking C60, that's a very strong antioxidant, and bringing down inflammation, which is the ashwagandha and the turmerics. All right. Go to the store. I have tons of stuff to offer. And throughout the year, this year, you're going to start seeing new products that I have developed that will help you navigate through this post-COVID era. So please, please listen to me and know what I'm talking about. All right. I'm giving you solutions. Even though some people think I'm gloom and doom and all that, I'm giving you solutions if you follow my lead. There's nothing that I say about the stuff to get that I don't use myself. All right. I use all these products. All right. I'm aging slower compared to my cohort group. And the same thing is going to happen to you. You're going to improve your health. Follow my lead. And you'll have that more energy and that more vigor for life. Also, please subscribe to all my channels. I have 3 channels on YouTube. I have Rumble, Bitchute, and Brighteon. Please subscribe to all 6 channels. Please ask your social network to subscribe and follow me, because I'm going to be releasing some new products, and this new set of products you're going to need to pay attention to. All right. And it's really going to change your life. Trust me on this. All right. It's really going to change your life if you follow my lead. So please subscribe and please have your social network follow me. If you can, go to the store, purchase the products. If you can't purchase the products because you're overseas or you're domestic and you would like to help support my work, please donate. You can donate on Stripe or PayPal through my website on the homepage, the-studio-reykjavik.com, or you can donate also through Buy Me a Coffee. That will help to support my news coverage. In addition, you can also be a paid subscriber to my Patreon account to help support my news coverage. I keep my content for free when I'm covering the news and some important things that are going on, and give you my perspective. And it's through the support of those donations and the people that purchase the products that allows me to do that. So please go to the store, donate, subscribe to Patreon, help support my work, share the links, and we will get through 2024. But there are going to be some people that are going to be cursed. You know, I've been saying this. People are going to be cursed, and some people are going to be blessed. Follow my lead. You'll be all right. Thank you for listening, and have a nice night.